Okay. Since there's 4 prakim left in the Sefer and Melachim Aleph, so we're going to be splitting it up into 2 and 2. So we're only going to do 2 prakim today and tomorrooo. Perek Yutet. Izevel, after the whole showdown at Har Carmel, so Achav comes home, tells Izevel everything that happens, and Izevel, she's the real wicked one, by the way. Not that Achav's a tzaddik, but she's the real instigator. So she says, she threatens to kill Eliyahu. Eliyahu runs away, and wherever he comes to, somewhere in the desert, he sits underneath a tree and he begs God to kill him. In other words, because Eliyahu was very upset. Like after this whole thing, you'd think like, okay, don't they get it now that God's the only true God? But they don't get it, and especially Zevel and Achav don't get it. So Eliyahu is really upset. He basically says to God, "Just take my life already. Take it. I can't stand it anymore." So he falls asleep, and an angel comes to him and taps him on the shoulder, touches him, and says, "Get up and eat." He gets up, he eats, he drinks, because the angel brought him some food, and then he goes to sleep again. And again, the angel taps him, he wakes up, the angel says, "Eat and drink," and he eats and drinks, and then he walks 40 days on from the strength that he gained from that food. It was obviously heavenly food, right? God gave him enough food and nourishment to be able to walk for 40 days and 40 nights based on this, or 40 days I should say. No, it says, Laila. I mean, I don't know if he specifically walked during the night, but he went to sleep at night, but he didn't need any food for 40 days. Until he gets to Har Chorev. Har Chorev is Har Habayit. That's, the mount. Oh, actually, 1 second. What am I talking about? Har Chorev, I'm sorry, is Har Sinai, no? And Har Elokim Chorev, sorry, it's Har Sinai, not Har Habayit. Har Sinai, where the Torah was given, right? Which also makes sense that it was a 40-day journey, like it was so far away.
Wait, he was able to stand on the mountain. Wouldn't it be like a super sanctified place at that point?
No, that's before. That's famous. That once the Ma'amad Har Sinai ended, there is nothing holy about Har Sinai anymore. It was a one-time thing. Once the shofar blowing stopped, right? Hemei Alu Bahar, they can go back up to the mountain. As opposed to Har Habayit, is holy forever. You can never go on Har Habayit if you're not tahor to a certain degree. Anyway, he gets to Har Chorev again, to Mount Sinai, and he goes into a me'ara, into a cave, which I think Chazal say is the same cave that Moshe went into when God, passed by him, and Vayavor Hashem al panav vayikra, Hashem kel rachum v'chanun, same cave. And Hashem speaks to Eliyahu, and he says to him, "Malach hapo, what are you doing here?" As if like, "Hey, how you doing? What's going on?" And the Mepharshim say it was just like to get into a conversation with Eliyahu. Eliyahu says, "Kaneti, kono kineti." Let me get the exact pasuk here. Here, pasuk yud. Vayomer, kano kineti la Hashem Elokei tzvagot. I have been zealous for Hashem. Ki azvu britcha b'nei Yisrael, because the Jewish people have left your covenant. At mizbechotecha harasu, they destroyed the mizbeach of Hashem. V'neviyecha argu b'charav, and they killed all of them neviim. Well, most of them. V'ivater ani levadi, I'm the only one left. V'yivakshu et nafshi l'chachtan, now they want to kill me too. So Hashem says to him, "Go up to the mountain, go out of the cave, go up to the mountain, and you're going to see." And Hashem passes by in a great, there's a great wind, there's a great storm. And it says, Lo beruach Hashem, Hashem was not in that ruach. And then great thunder and noise comes. And Lo barash Hashem, Hashem is not in that noise. And then there's fire, and Lo be'esh Hashem, Hashem is not in the fire. And then finally there's a kol dimama daka. There is a very faint, small sound of basically silence, right? And that's where Hashem is. What Hashem was basically saying to him was, it was beautiful what you did in Har Carmel. It was very, impressive, very, big show. But that's not where Hashem is. Hashem is not in the noise, in the wind, in the fire. Hashem is in the kol d'mama daka. Eliyahu goes out to the Me'ara. He hides his face, and Hashem again says to him, "Hey, what are you doing here, Eliyahu?" As if like nothing happened. And Eliyahu says, like he said the first time, Kano kineti, your people have left your Torah, and they've destroyed your Mizbeach, and they've killed the Nevi'im, etc. So what does Hashem answer him? Hashem says, look at Pasuk Tedvav, Vayomer Hashem Elav, Lech shuv ledarkacha midbara Damesek. Go back on your way to the desert of Damesek. And then he tells him to do three things. But the way Chazal understand this is basically Hashem was disappointed at Eliyahu because Eliyahu was what's called Melamed Sanigori al Am Yisrael. He kept on saying, Bnei Yisrael did this and they did that. They sinned. They did terrible things. They want to kill the Nevi'im. In fact, in the new Sefer that I came out with just last week, Ayelet HaShachar, he brings the whole Midrash. It's amazing. Hashem is like, believe it or not, it sounds like what Eliyahu is saying is true, but Hashem does not like when people find fault with Am Yisrael, even though Am Yisrael we're such sinners at this point. But Hashem says, don't talk bad about my children. Don't talk bad about my children. So Hashem is basically says, okay, your career as a Navi is over. And he says to him, listen, you're going to go back on your way to Damesek, and I want you to do three things. I want you to anoint Chazael as the king of Aram, not Bnei Yisrael, king of Aram. I want you to anoint Yehu ben Nimshi as the king of Israel. And then I want you to go to Elisha ben Shaphat. We know that name, Elisha. And I want you to anoint him as the Navi in your place. He's going to take over as the next big Navi. And the Mefarshim explained that the reason for all this is that this is these three people together are going to take vengeance. What was it again? They are going to be basically the shlichim that is going to take Nikama Yisrael. In other words, yes, because he said, Bnei Yisrael did this, that, and the other thing, did all these terrible things. So Hashem Be'emet is going to punish the Jewish people. And these three characters, these three people, our personalities, are going to be all involved in that. So, as he says in Pasuk Yedzayin, whoever escapes from the sword of Chazael, so Yehu will kill him. And whoever escapes from his sword, Elisha will kill him. There's the sinners have to be punished. That's true. And then he says, I'm going to leave 7,000 Jews. 7,000 Jews will remain alive, who are the only ones who did not bow to Baal and did not kiss Baal, the Baal god. And Eliyahu leaves, goes, and he finds Elisha ben Shaphat, who is in the middle of plowing his field. And Eliyahu goes by, and he takes off somehow. He throws off his mantle, his coat, and Elisha quickly leaves what he's doing, and he runs towards he runs after Eliyahu. And he asks Eliyahu, can I just, kiss my parents goodbye? Can I just say goodbye to my parents? He understands that this is a sign that he has to come and follow Eliyahu. And Eliyahu says to him, "Vayomer lo leich shuv ki ma asiti lach," which basically means like, yeah, sure, no problem. I mean, I didn't call you yet. I didn't say anything to you. Yeah, you can go and say goodbye to your parents. Okay, that's a little bit of a questionable pasuk. What exactly it means, ki ma asiti lach. But anyway. And he goes back. He takes the tzemed bakar, one of the oxen that he had, and he offers it up as a korban. And he makes a feast, and then he goes and he follows Eliyahu. Meaning, he first makes a feast for everybody, maybe like a goodbye party. You know, I'm leaving now. I'm now in the service of Hashem. I'm going to be learning by Eliyahu. And that's the beginning of the career of Elisha, where we're going to see a lot, about. Okay, that's Perek Yotet. Perek Chaf, very long. It's good that we only have 2 prakim today because this is quite a long perek. What happens is as follows: Ben Hadad, the king of Aram, plus 32 kings that are with him, are fighting against Israel. Ben Hadad sends a message to Achav. Tomorrow I'm sending my servants, and we're taking everything you have, your wives, your children, your gold and your silver, everything you have. So Achav takes counsel with his elders and like, what should he do? And the elders say, don't listen to him. Absolutely not. Tell him no. And yeah.
No, just looking at the Psukim, man, it says like the first time the messengers come and say, I'm going to take all your stuff, and then it says, okay, that's fine.
Okay, so very good. So the Mefarshim explained that he originally understood that what he means is, not that he's going to actually physically take it, but that everything is now subservient to him, to Ben Hadad, which means he's going to have to pay a lot of taxes on it, he's going to have to be in his service, but not that he's going to literally take his children and his wives and just totally steal them. That's what Achav understood. And then he asked his elders, and they said, no, absolutely not. That's not what he means. He means he's going to take them. And that's why he says no. The second time when the messengers come back, he says, I'm sorry, I can't do it. So Ben Hadad sends a message back, says, you're gonna lose. You're in big trouble now. And Achav answers very interestingly. He says, don't be so sure. Meaning, someone who goes out to war and girds his loins for war should not praise himself as much as the one who is now opening his loins, meaning who is after the war and already has the victory. Meaning, don't be so sure you're going to win this one, mister. And that's actually what's going to happen, as we're going to see. So Ben Hadad gets drunk, starts drinking with his men, and he says, okay, it's time to attack the Jews. A Navi of Hashem, who according to Chazal is Michayahu ben Yimla, that was his name, comes to Achav and says, you're going to win this one. You are going to win this war. And it's very interesting why. He says, V'yadata, at the end of Pasuk Yud Gimel, V'yadata Keni Hashem. Why would Hashem Be'emet be on Achav's side? Achav is the most wicked king ever. Why is he giving in? Why is he letting him win? And the answer is because I want you to know that I am Hashem. Meaning, maybe, what we tried to do so far, is it okay? If we tried to do so far, by punishments, like the drought, the famine, maybe that's not working so well. Maybe it will be better if I let him win the war and he'll realize that Ani Hashem. Because they're so totally outnumbered by Aram, if they win the war, they'll know that Ani Hashem. So he says, the Navi tells him, don't worry, you're going to win this. And who are you going to win it by? Not by your army, by Na'arei Sarei HaMedinot. Who exactly are these people? So the Rei Metzudas David, the simplest pshat is that it's the Mishartei Sarei HaMedinot. These Sarei HaMedinot, right? These officers of the other nations that were there with Ben Hadad, so they all had Sarim. They all had Na'arim. They all had attendants, and they were Jews. So those little kids, they're going to be the ones who are going to defeat Aram. And they count up all the people. There's 232 of these Na'arim, plus 7,000 soldiers from Bnei Israel. The Na'arei, now Ben Hadad had made a siege around the city that they were all in. So these Na'arei Sarei Midinot leave the city. So Ben Hadad says, grab them. And at that point, the Na'arim and the Chayalim, the soldiers of Israel, attack, and they start really beating the soldiers of Aram to the point where they start fleeing, and Achav joins in the chase, chasing the Bnei Aram, and basically, as the pasuk ends in pasuk Chafal, v'ika b'Aram maka gdola. He deals them a very great blow. Okay, then what happens? A Navi. This time it doesn't say who it is. Vayigash Navi, or probably the same one, right? Michayahu, right? He comes back to Achav and he says, "Don't be so happy. It's gonna in a year from now. There's going to be another war. They're going to come and attack you again." What happens? Be'emet, the servants of Ben Hadad say to him, "You want to know why we lost? Because the God of Israel is the God of the mountains, and we were fighting them on the mountains. So what we should do is that next time we should fight them in the flatlands, and then we'll win."
What made them think?
Because they were idolaters. That's the way. That was their mindset. How could it be that we so outnumbered them? How can we lose? Their God. We were in His territory. Okay. And also they suggest that we take away the kings. These kings don't really fight so well. Well, we're gonna take lower level pachot. It's called lower officers. They'll fight. And they'll really fight properly, and then we'll win. A year later, exactly as the Navi says, they come out to fight against the Jews again. And it describes how they totally outnumbered, far, far outnumbered the Jews. And the Navi comes to Achav again and says, "You're going to win this one too. But you want to know why? Because if you don't win, they're going to say, you see, the God of Israel is only a God of the mountains and not a God of the plains. So therefore, I have to basically, Hashem is going to let you win this one also."
So it's by no fault of Achav. It's not because of him.
Not because of him, not because he was attacked. The first time was to show him that Hashem Hu Elokim, and the second time is so that they don't think that God is only the God of the mountains. 7 days they are camped against each other. There's like a standoff, and finally Bnei Israel attack. And in one day, they kill 100,000 soldiers of Aram. That's a pretty large amount of people.
Do they only still have 7,000 people?
The Jews? Yeah, I think so. 7,000 soldiers, yeah. And then there's another 27,000. They escaped to a city called Afek, or Afik. And when they get into the city, the wall falls on them, and all 27,000 died. Ben Hadad he survives, and he runs away with a few of his servants, and they say to him, "Listen, we have a suggestion. We're in pretty big trouble right now. Let's surrender to the Jewish king, because you know what? Jewish kings are merciful. They're not like, if you surrender to a non-Jewish king, they'll just chop your head off in a second. Jewish kings are nice. They're more merciful." So they go and they do that, and they come to Achav. And they tell Achav that Ben Hadad wants is surrendering to you, and Achav says, "Vayomer, ha'odenu chai? Is he really still alive? Achihu, he's my brother, my friend. Ben Hadad, the guy who in the beginning of the parak wanted to take everything he has, his wife, his children, everything, who wanted to destroy the Jewish people. He's my brother." And they come and say, "Yeah, that's your brother. They also call him, right? Right? Yeah, your brother Ben Hadad. And he says, "Yeah, come, get him, tell him to come here." And they have a conversation, and Ben Hadad says, all that stuff, all those cities that my father took from your father, Omri, I'm going to give it all back to you. And they make a covenant, and it's as if they make a peace treaty, right? Sounds like great. The Navi, this same Navi that we said before, Michayahu, comes to Achav and says, he does the following. Very often we find that Nevi'im had to do something physical, something like actual, like a symbolic act to express what Hashem's prophecy was to them. So it goes like this. He says to it, Michayahu the Navi says to one of his friends, "In the name of Hashem, I want you to beat me. I I want you to hit me. His friend, the Navi, also a Navi, he says, no, I can't do that, absolutely not. Michael says to him, because you didn't listen to Hashem, you're going to leave here and you're going to get eaten by a lion. And that's exactly what happened.
Such a weird
Yes.
scenario.
A Navi has to listen to another Navi. Another Navi says, and he's a well-known Navi, and he says, in the name of Hashem, smack me in the face. You got to smack him in the face. That's what Hashem said. You got to do it. And he did it, and he died because of it. Then he goes to another Navi, and he says, smack me. And he does so. He beats him pretty badly. And fine. Then the Navi dresses up, Michael, right? Dresses up and screams out to Achav, goes to Achav and screams out to Achav. He says, somebody told me, gives us like a made up story. He says, somebody told me that I have to, there was like some captive and someone said that I should watch him. And while I was watching him, he ran away. What should happen? So Achav says, one of two things. Either he should die, or he has to pay. He has to pay, right? Because you said, I guess the person had said, if I let him free, I'm gonna pay you. So Achav said, that's the psak. Of course, you have to either die or you pay him. So then the Navi takes off his costume, and now Achav recognizes him, and he says, aha, guess what, Mr. Achav? That's you. That's you. You had the shavui, you had the captive in your hand, and you let him go free. You had Ben Hadad, who was the enemy of Israel. You should have killed him. So let's read the last pasuk. Let's two psukim. Membet vayomer elav ko amar Hashem yan shilachtet ish chermi miyad. Since you sent away my ish cherem, which means the man of my war, meaning my enemy. Let's call it that. My enemy from your hands. So now you have to give your life up instead of his. And your nation will be given over instead of his nation. He goes back home all upset, and he goes back to Shomron, and we'll see what happens next. Perek. Okay, you want to close the...
He didn't have to die.